So without further ado, I'm going to get right into introducing our amazing 4 Supermom panelists we have today. First up, we have Brett. Brett, do you want to give a wave? Brett Liske. So Brett is the owner of Jade Design. And after spending 13 years as a social worker, Brett took the leap to start her own interior styling company. She believes that spaces do not need to look perfect, but they should be perfect for you. As a mother of 3, finding balance is a constant challenge, but she enjoys the flexibility she has to run her business, meet with clients, and still make time for her growing family. She doesn't pretend to have it all together, but loves stepping up to new challenges in design. So welcome, Brett. Next, we have Donna Crooks. She is the founder and CEO of Brain Snacks Co. Donna is, Brain Snacks is a woman-led business designed to give women more choices about how they do all the things by providing work and study space, childcare, and opportunities for personal and professional growth. If you have a chance to check this place out, people, please do, because it is amazing. She is passionate about women in leadership and closing the gender gap. She has her Master of Arts in Leadership and a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. Donna is a 2020 Nutrien YWCA Women of Distinction nominee, and she is married to her high school sweetie with 3 young boys. Welcome, Donna. Okay, next we have Amy Ripplinger. She is a mother and entrepreneur and the owner of Handful Dough. So Amy is a mother of 3, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and the owner-operator of Handful Sensory Dough Co. And behind the scenes of Congress Wood Co., which she also runs with her husband. Both her and her husband have always had the desire to take the road less traveled and pursue things that they truly feel feed their soul. Both of their businesses were birthed out of that desire. And she doesn't consider herself to be a savvy business person. However, the last year was a giant learning curve for her, but she has been challenged, stretched, and felt over her head for much of it. But she can honestly say that she wouldn't trade what she's learned in this short time for anything. It has taught her to trust herself and to believe in herself. And she's grateful for the challenges and says that they show us what we're made of. So welcome, Amy. And last but not least, we have Melissa McCullough. She is the director of sales and design at Trademark Homes, which she owns with her husband. And she's also a realtor. And Melissa opened her first construction business with her husband at 23 years old and never looked back. She has a passion for people, construction, and design, and the awesome city of Regina, and their company, Trademark Homes, is 13 years old. So besides owning Trademark Homes, Melissa is also a licensed realtor with Royal LePage. And her and her husband, James, have been married for 16 years, live on an acreage outside of Regina with their children, Summer, Britton, and Cohen, and a herd of animals. By the time she was 30 years old, they owned 8 companies and had grown their family to 3 children, but not without struggling through multiple miscarriages and secondary infertility. Over the past 4 years, Melissa and James have revamped their entire business plans to reflect their family goals and values and strive to provide their clients with lasting relationships. Melissa loves working with her husband, James, and modeling to her children what it looks like to live every day following your passion and chasing your dreams. So welcome, Melissa. Okay, so I am going to pass it off to Talitha. She's going to be moderating this amazing panel. If anyone has any questions throughout the panel, we aren't going to wait till the end. So please do throw them into the chat and we'll address them as they come in. So without further ado, take it away, Talitha.
Thank you very much. So like Skylar said, I will be moderating. We'll have a hard stop at 1 o'clock, again, just to be respectful of everyone's time and short lunch hours. So if I do happen to politely cut anyone off, it's just in essence of time. We'd like to hear from everybody. Like again, Skylar said, if you have any burning questions or comments, please put them in the chat and I will get to them right away. We do have a list of pre-prepared questions, but I would be happy to ask your questions to the panelists as well. So without further ado, so I have a couple of different topics that we're going to be covering. So our first one is modeling leadership to your children. So this is a question for everyone. Melissa, I will start with you when I put you in the hot seat. So how have you educated your children about the ability and unique lifestyle that you have being a business owner and raising a family at the same time?
Okay. For James and I, our kids have never known any different. So I think it's a little bit easier is that they just grew up in it. And so we had summer the same month that we opened Trademark Homes or started building the first home. So our kids really have just learned through modeling for us. That was really important. They see us with clients. They understand that, sometimes mom will be home for bedtime. Sometimes I'm not. They know the office as a second home on weekends. We bring them all here. So for us, it was just modeling and having them see it and normalizing it as anything that they know.
Mm-hmm. Seeing their mom as a leader kind of from the very beginning is super
cool. And I try to be a leader and I try to show them things, but I think also they understand that we're humans, and when we make mistakes that it's, we admit it or we try to make it right. And just to show them you don't have to be perfect to be a business person, that you just need to try your best and put yourself out there is a huge thing.
Totally. Maybe shifting gears a little bit, Brett, I know that you left a career of being a social worker and then you started a business. So the same question, how have you educated your children about the ability and unique lifestyle of being a business owner and raising a family at the same time?
How do I do that? I honestly, I was talking with my husband about this question last night, and it's one of those things that I think, like Melissa said, which by the way, I actually worked with Melissa. She took a risk on me really as I was transitioning, and I was able to start on my design journey with Trademark. And that was honestly because she believed in what I could do and how I could do it. So just as a side note, but I think modeling it in everything we do, but with our oldest, I've started to have some more intentional conversations about it too, and trying to get them to understand some of the perks of, I guess, the sacrifice I made, I guess, to go this direction too, that I can, if they want to play Super Mario in the middle of the day and they just need that extra time, that I'm there for it. But now it's actually have some concrete discussions about that too, that the reason mom can do this is because I'm also texting at 9:30 at night and being flexible in that. So again, with the modeling, but also starting because of their age to have some concrete discussions around it.
Yeah, I think just having an open conversation and being willing to talk about it, and the sacrifices especially. Donna, how about you? How have you educated your children about the ability and the unique lifestyle of being a business owner? I know that you had gone back to work and you started a business while being on maternity leave. So tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And thanks for the kind introduction. I'm sorry if you hear some background noise here. I've got an elderly dog and a child whose class got closed for a COVID case here. So there's lots going on. I want to start by answering your question with my own mother. And she modeled a lot of really strong work ethic behavior to me. She was a single mother. We never owned our own home when we were really young, and she worked 3 jobs. And one of them, she would type. She was a medical transcriptionist, and she would type in the evening at home, and I would see her working all day long. And on the weekend, we would often go into a medical office and we would play in one of the boardrooms while she would type. So I a huge impact on me because like full on workaholic. I can't stop working. I love working. Often when I'm doing something else, I'm like, I wish I was working. So it's really hard for me not to channel my energy that way. And kids were a really important balance to that because they taught me that I have to take a break and move to other energy and do other things. But I don't know, because my kids are 6, 5 and 1, if I've had a really good opportunity to model anything to them, except that both of their parents work hard to, earn a living that provides for our family, and that we didn't always have things in our family, both my husband and I, and that it's important to, educate yourself, to find something that you're interested in, and to work hard to provide for yourself and your family. And having a business is a really cool way to do that.
Totally. Definitely a theme of sacrifices and kind of making those sacrifices in order to provide for your family and chase your dreams and all of that. So I really love that. Last but not least, Amy, how have you educated your children? I know you also have young children. So how have you educated your children about the ability and unique lifestyle of being a business owner, and it may be a unique business owner in the way that you started 2 businesses within the last year and all from home and all of that?
Okay, well, first and foremost, my goal is to be an example to my kids to show them the importance of following their dreams. Like a lot of things, I think being immersed in something can be the greatest form of education. So learning from doing, experiencing, watching, I think is so valuable. I think one of the gifts of running a business while also raising a family is being able to navigate it all together. We talk a lot about our dreams as a family and why we choose to do the things that we do, even when they're hard. I want our kids to be present for the ups and downs in our businesses because I do think that it will serve them well in their future. I want them to dream big, but I also want them to be big doers. I don't want them to just dream and think it will come easy, because it doesn't. And I want them I want them to see our challenges and see the hurdles that we face in our business. And I always want to kind of emphasize the determination that it takes. And even though running a business and raising a family and balancing it all is hard, that it's worth it. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll just continue on with you, Amy, for the next question, which is, how has being a mother to young children impacted your business model and your business decisions? So you've again talked about the sacrifices. And then this is a 2-parter, but I'll just say the second part, which is, what tips do you have for other mothers looking to start a business out of their homes?
So I guess when starting Handful in Congress, I spent a lot of time looking at other businesses who have been successful and thought in order to find my success, I had to almost do the things that they did. And I think it's important to, as businesses, we do learn different things from other people. And I think that's important. That knowledge is important. But I also think that it's important to remember that your unique approach is what will set you apart. And just because you look different from another business doesn't mean you won't be successful. I really do think that building a successful business is following your vision, because your vision and your path is what you'll be able to sustain. Doing things the other people are doing might not work for you, and that's okay. You can look different and still be successful. And so oftentimes I think when starting a business, lots of people will see what you're doing and be really stoked about what you're doing and offer advice and ideas. And sometimes those ideas will be really awesome and you can run with them, and sometimes they won't be what suit you, and that's okay too. I just really think it's important to trust your gut and trust what you know that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that success comes in so many different shapes and sizes as well. Yeah. So just really trusting that what you're doing is the right path for you is super important. Yeah. Melissa, here is maybe a doozy. Do you believe in work-life balance?
No way. No. I think I try. I've never in 13 years kind of found that balance. When I am at home, I think of stuff that I need to be doing at work. And when I'm at work, I'm thinking of stuff that I should have done at home. It was funny because 2020, before the pandemic hit, every year I like to pick a word, and that's like our family or our business word. And it was balance for 2020. And I was like, this is my year. This is when I'm going to find it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, what the heck? But I will admit, the silver lining in the pandemic, this past 2020 year, has been being at home with the kids. I'll be the first to admit I never have really done the mothering and the business without help, whether that's daycare or a nanny or that sort of thing. And I think there's no shame in that, and I'll be the first to admit I couldn't have done it. And this was the first year that we didn't have in-home help. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to do this? But I just had to really figure it out between James and I learned so much this year. So being home when the kids get off the bus, most days I'm trying to be home by 2:30 so that I can have an after school walk with them. That's something I'm trying to implement into our lives, is just spending time with them. I feel like the world is in such chaos, and it really did take a pandemic for me to see how badly these little kids, and even my teenager, they actually do need us, whether they want to admit it or not. So it was a really huge learning thing for me in 2020. Funny that I picked the word balance. I don't think I had any real balance in the past 13 years. And this year I am having to figure out the home side of things with the business side of things and make it work. Is it perfect? Definitely not at all. But I see the kids at the end of the day smiling and they're happy. I have HelloFresh delivered so that I have somewhat of a meal to cook with the kids. We're not trying to eat out a ton of takeout. I think for me, it was just having to make those check boxes and tick them off of what's important, what are the values that I want to bring into the family. Where have I really fallen short over the last 13 years? The nice thing about having kids, they're really, really forgiving. And they don't hold, how it's been the last 10 years. They remember how it's been the last couple months, and I can see that they're happy and they're loving having, James and I home a bit more. But yeah, I was never good at the balance thing. I'm still not good at the balance thing. I don't know if our entrepreneur brains are really good at that balance thing when you're pulled in so many different directions. And I think you should be able to say that. I don't think there's shame in it. I just think that as long as you're realizing and have goals for yourself and you're trying to do better each day, that's what matters.
Absolutely. One of our panelists last week Carissa said, her motto in life is that you can have it all, you just can't do it all, or you can do it all, you just can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important, especially as entrepreneurs, is you can do it all. You just have to kind of pick your battles at certain times and not beat yourself up about it.
Totally.
Brett, what gave you the courage to leave a stable job? And I'll say stable in the way that it's, where your paycheck's kind of coming from every week or every 2 weeks, opposed to being an entrepreneur, and take the risk to start your own interior styling business while having to support your family?
Well, part of it came out of a need for myself personally, because I came out of a really bad burnout situation at one of my last placements. So I was really unhealthy, physically, emotionally, and had literally nothing to give to my family. So it was kind of out of crisis mode that I transitioned out of that. And also I really knew at the end of the day that I didn't want to miss out on these years with my kids. It was a priority for me. And I know for myself that I really, like you said, I can't do it all at once. I couldn't be a full-time social worker and still be able to be there when my kids left for school and not be on call all the time. So it definitely came out of that kind of need for myself personally and the need to be there with my kids. And I'm also blessed with a husband that really was a cheerleader and pushed me into doing it, because I seriously, even though I own my business, would never call myself an entrepreneur. I definitely I worked at the same place for 11 years, and had the government not shut it down, probably would have continued to do that. Because I loved being there for the kids that I worked with, and I loved the work that I do. And I had personal satisfaction from that too, of oh, you're a social worker, you're helping people, you're giving your life to making that happen. But I have a husband that was hey, you can do this, you have the skills. And he was willing to kind of keep that stable job. He's probably someone that everyone who knows him would be oh, he'd be someone that would open his own business. He's maybe the true entrepreneur, I guess. And he has sacrificed that for me and for our family of, he's kept that stable paycheck so that I can minimize my fear and take a chance on this new kind of creative outlet. It's definitely a team approach to making it happen. Because like, honestly, I wouldn't have done it myself. I wouldn't have, you need those people around you, especially through this pandemic and through working by yourself. I don't know how other people feel about it, but sometimes if there's like no one else around, especially when you're trying to be creative, you're just like, oh, like you lose that passion. You don't even know if what you're choosing or the things that you're suggesting to people are even good. Like if you're sitting in your own office by yourself, it's not overly inspiring. I mean, I love my office, but so we do have that team approach, and he really, again, one was willing to keep that stable paycheck because I'm kind of anal about that, and also encourage me that I can really do it. And also in owning the business that I do, he also has been helping me with my marketing and stuff like that, because that's really overwhelming for me. And it's really also important to what I do. So again, having those cheerleaders around you to go, hey, you can do it, has been really like critical for me. It's not like I was in this like pity of self-doubt, but I really went from like two incredibly different careers. I worked with like the government for 11 years, nonprofit for what, 3 or 4, 2 or 3, I don't even know how long. There's some mat leaves in there. And I worked nonprofit and then went to interior styling. Like it's a really weird transition.
I think that like the saying, which I've really taken on myself, is you have to put your own oxygen mask on before you can assist anybody else. And so I think that you following that dream and, you know, putting your own oxygen mask on, because you would have just kept burning out and not really being able to provide for your family in the way that you want to do. So I think that that's very inspirational.
Well, and I did really try to gain that balance when I was in social work of figuring out, okay, my priority of being with my kids and being present during this period of time. I tried to get job shares. I tried to shift my workplace. You know, I tried a bunch of things where I was, and it just wasn't aligning. And I guess it took workplace burnout to really go, okay, peace. And I made the jump, if you will.
There you go. And we're happy you did. I'm happy you did, because Brett is actually assisting our family with some interior styling. So, okay, Donna, what is the top skill that you've taken away from motherhood and applied to making your business a success?
You know,
or potentially, sorry, maybe the other way around. Maybe you've taken something from your business and applied it to being a mother.
Oh man, I've been thinking about this question, but I've been struggling with it a little bit. I do think that motherhood makes you better at your job, whatever it is, whether it's career, like a traditional career, or it's entrepreneurship. You know, so much about motherhood is resilience. And women, we have to work so much harder than our male counterparts to be successful in a traditional career. There's so much invisible work we do at home and at work that's not expected of others. And it is even more challenging for women of color and other individuals in our communities. And there can be so many sort of ticks against us, whether it's age or sexual orientation, gender, that kind of thing, that it's such a big climb for us to succeed. And I think how women do that, whether it's challenges at home with the gender roles of their spouse or their career, we all have to weather a really big storm to get there. And that's what happens in motherhood too, right? I mean, the minute you decide you want to have a baby or you find out you're pregnant, there's changes expected of you socially, culturally, in your employment that that you immediately begin to shift. And you
Oh, we may have lost her.
pregnancy, postnatal stuff, menopause, like we're always trying to build our life and our career when we're going through huge body shifts constantly. And so I think like that marathon, it makes us resilient. It makes us tenacious. We can apply those things to business and to family because there's no off button. We all know that. We work hard all day kids through supper and their bedtime routine, and then we're up all night with the kids. I can share that experience as well from Brett, and especially from my career in the government. And you have to say, I need to stop at career and at home and care for myself so that I can be the person I need to be in both of those spaces. So that integration and weaving of life and family is so important. And I think so many women experience extreme pain at work, whether it's mental, emotional, that leads them to say, I need to for myself. And that's where we have some control of in designing our life, our family, our both ways.
Okay, I lost you at the last little bit, but I will continue on. So for our next kind of theme, I'm gonna ask, or like our next question, I'm gonna ask everybody this question, and then we will I'll just call on you when I would like you to speak. So the question is, and maybe Amy, I'll start with you, is what is the most valued way that your family and friends have supported you in building your business while being a mother?
I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is just kind of how my dad has responded to it all. He's very much a person who believes in formal education, which is awesome and amazing. But being someone who kind of went to university for a short time and then dropped out, I really didn't know if he would ever be proud of me again. And especially my younger sister like went hard at university and like really excelled. And so which I'm so proud of her for doing that, but it was something that I had no desire to do. And I thought that he thought that I was failing basically. And so when I started these businesses, already being a mom of 3, having my hands full, I just assumed that in his mind, he would think like, why and how are you going to do all this? Like, why would you take this on when you have so much already? And so in November, I kind of had like kind of a hard thing to go through in my business. Like, you know, it's a young business and you go through growing pains. And so it was one of my growing pains. And so I was sitting in their dining room and I was crying because I felt like, what business do I have to be an entrepreneur? Like, I am not, like, I don't know anything about business. I'm very much a creative type of person. And so like all the other things do not come naturally to me and I suck at them. And so it's been like a lot of learning. And so I thought like breaking down and showing that like letting my guard down almost was gonna almost prove to him that I'm not capable and like that I shouldn't have done this. And it was the very opposite. Like in that moment when I was felt so awful and terrible. He told me that he was so proud of me. And like, to me, I just thought like that was so significant and almost like a shift in my brain, because for so long I just thought I had to live up to these expectations to be supported by my family, and it wasn't that. And to be supported when you're following your dreams, even though it looks different, and even though it's not something that maybe they would do or even recommend, following your dreams and being supported by your family and friends in those times of like struggle is what was really significant for me.
I think that's really beautiful. It's like kind of when you were ready to throw in the towel, or maybe you don't feel like you were going to be supported, and then that person just really turned around and gave you the lift that you needed.
Totally.
Yeah. That's incredible. I like got tears in my eyes when you were telling that. I think that's just a struggle that a lot of people have dealt with, is especially disappointing people that you look up to so much. And so, and when they do show up and just give you that unconditional support that you really needed, it's the best.
Yeah. And like, sometimes it's hard to take a chance on yourself. And so when you take a chance on yourself and you feel like you're failing, but you still have support, I think that's huge. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Melissa, how about you? What was the most value way that your family and friends have supported you in building your business while being a mother?
First and foremost, I think it's that they offered me grace when I felt like I was failing or I forgot something. You know, I had my grandma. I don't have parents in Regina. They live in the States. So having my grandparents just as that support when the kids were really little, to drop them off at a moment's notice. If we had a change, we needed flexibility, that sort of thing. She was always willing to take them. She's older now, like she's 83 now. So I don't drop 3 children off at her house as much, but she's still, you know, if Cohen can't go to school or something, she's more than happy to take one of them. And again, like it's always just, yeah, bring them over, no problem. I was going on a walk, or I don't need to go to where I was going. I try not to take advantage of that and just, you know, try to be flexible in my schedule, but just that grace that they offer at a moment's notice is so good. And I think too, for me on the business side of it, is that we actually built for a lot of our friends and family their homes. So like we did Brett and Dyson's house like 3-4 times. I don't know how many times you have Brett, but a lot of times. And they've just always have been our friends are so flexible in knowing our schedule. They don't care if I have a tag along to a meeting or that sort of thing. They've always been so just open and like, I don't know, flexible is a huge thing, and not being put off that you brought your 6-year-old with a cough prior to COVID to a meeting, that nobody was freaking out about that. And yeah, grace, flexibility, huge when you're starting a business. It's been 13 years now, and thankfully, kind of in that groove, we kind of know where we're going. But I remember at the beginning, the first couple of years being like, how do I do this? How do I go to this meeting with a car seat? And I remember literally bringing a baby back, like a bucket seat, to a business meeting and being like, I felt so embarrassed almost at the beginning that you were going to these meetings with this baby in tow, and that you couldn't, you know, you're trying to be that business woman while being a mom. But I own it. I think that's what people actually have so much respect for, moms that are killing it out there and following your dreams. Don't be embarrassed about it. Just bring them.
Yeah, I mean, as a new mom, it's like, I look up to those people who will, you know, just like are in full business suit and like breastfeeding out at the mall or something. I mean, obviously that's not happening now, but like when I've seen that before, it's something that I just totally look up to, because it's like, you're owning it, you're doing it, and you're a human. And I think that's really important to.
I remember like a board meeting. It was like one of the trademark meetings that we were in, and at that time, it was like mostly like male managers that we had, and I like had Cohen, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to feed him. And it's just like, thankfully we had such good people. Like they didn't care, they weren't bothered by it. But I remember being like just sitting in this managers meeting and like nursing this baby and being like, what is that? Like, I want to be here so bad, but I have this baby that I need to bring too. And like, just have to like put your passions together.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's very commendable and good for you for kind of leading the way for that since you have been a business owner. That's awesome. Donna, you're frozen, but can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, we can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try putting my camera off while I talk. Maybe that will help.
Perfect. I think you're still frozen, however, or your picture's still frozen for us. But what's the most valued way that your family and friends have supported you while building your business while being a mother?
Many ways. First off, they, I guess, didn't object to me doing stuff. So I was like, hey, when we have our third baby, I'm going to open a business on my maternity leave, which was a little bit crazy because our first baby was really tough. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if I'd had our first baby on our third, it would have been a nightmare, I think. Like I was coming off a burnout, although it was a light burnout compared to the one I experienced this year. So that was some learning too. After we decided to open the business, we started signing things, taking on debt, all that stuff. A lot of stuff began to happen. My sister passed away. My baby was born. Our middle son had emergency surgery after a medical error. And then my dog died and we opened the business, and then my newborn had heart surgery, and still happening, huh? I wonder if I'll just try joining on my phone instead of my computer. And you guys can move
we can still hear you. You can
hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Skylar said my audio was cutting out too, so I wasn't sure.
I think that was a while ago.
Oh, so my computer is really behind schedule. Okay. And so like all of that happened, and you don't get through that without support. And obviously like number one is my husband, because he, our son Cameron, who had the back surgery, that was, wow, it was like 2 months before we opened our storefront. And so he was in hospital with Cameron for months. And then when Cameron came home, he had to have like multiple infusions every day that were an hour long. And Andy had to learn how to do it and do those. And he took a leave of absence from work. I think in a lot of households, it would have fallen to the mother. But I had a 2-month-old and I was opening a business in 2 months. And so not only, I rely heavily on Andy and the parenting department, but my support system for opening the business, which included, Allie, who's buying into our business and is going to be my partner, and like our contractors, Fiorante, was there for us to get all of our stuff done. And so it is a village, it is a community. And anytime something really shitty's happened to me, like you have to rely on the people around you who will support you. Sometimes it's a professional connection, somebody who will lift you up after a career setback. Sometimes it's, your family who just like needs to sort of envelop you and get you through a trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're about 1:45, and I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. Oh, there you are, Donna. And we'll get to them if we can. I'm just gonna go on to the next question for Brett, which is, how has the financial uncertainty of running a business impacted the way you parent? If it has.
I don't know. I guess my kids just see me probably freaking out more than it because it is a constant battle for me, of that, like, okay, even really super practically, I got like a paycheck every 2 weeks for my entire life. Like I started working at Dale's House when I was 19, so in the social work field. So you kind of get all your habits, your spending habits, all that gets really ingrained. So it's been a whole new learning curve of like, I don't get paid sometimes for a month. So like super practically, probably just seeing me freak out more is really what it is. I like having to have that constant trust that it'll be okay. And obviously my husband tells me that lots, it'll be okay. And I have a strong faith that this is the direction I should be going, and I know it, but I do need lots of reminders on that. And it does make me a spaz a lot of the time. But I think that's part of just being like realistic. And when we talked about like modeling for our kids, they see me fail at trusting myself, trusting the process, trusting the plan for our life, and then be okay as a result of it. And they see me apologize a lot to them when I'm like worried about money, or I'm worried about, I think a lot of people who own their own businesses can attest to this. One minute you're like, I'm so busy. The next like millisecond, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna have work. We're gonna go broke. Like it's like fluctuates. So they see the reality of that. And it does stress me out. I'm not gonna lie, it totally does. I would much rather, like, if the world was perfect, my clients would pay me every 2 weeks, but they don't. Not Talitha, she's good, by the way. That wasn't like something against her.
Thanks, Brent.
We're good.
Okay, so my next question, and I don't actually know if you all received this question. It's kind of a last minute thing that Skylar and I added in. But I will start with Melissa. What do you consider your special supermom power to be, and how is it developed?
I would say my special supermom power would be being really laid back. Nothing really phases me obviously I'm like a mom and I overthink things all the time, but with the kids, it's like, I literally pick my battles. It's not worth it. That's not worth it to fight them over. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty chill, maybe to the point where I should be a little bit more stressed about stuff, but I'm just kind of like, whatever. Yesterday was, by the way, tomorrow is ugly sweater day. And I was like, oh, really? Like, you just thought this is a good time to tell me? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go buy a sweater. Like, Giant Tiger, $9. I'm not going to stress about it. Sure, you need that. Sounds good. Honestly, Netflix, that sort of thing, I don't stress about it. I make sure that they're eating, they're healthy, they're loved, they're clothed, they're all those sort of things. If they need to watch a movie for 3 hours, I don't really care. I'm not stressed about it. So yeah, picking and choosing my battles probably is like my new mom superpower in 2020, to learn what is worth it, what is not. I think that even with a 13-year-old girl in the house now, it has been a real thing of like, more for James, less for me, where he's like, oh, she can't sit on her phone all the time. And I'm like, you know what? Just let it go. She's going to come back upstairs eventually. She's going to get hungry, just understanding, like, with growing kids, they go through different phases. Pick your battles. Some things are not worth it.
Yeah. I remember vaguely being a 13-year-old girl, and I'm, my parents still love me, so.
They're crazy. I love her to death. They're the best thing ever. And the next minute they're like monsters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think superpower, especially with business, like if you need to like get something done and you need to focus and you have a deadline, Netflix will be your best friend. Do not beat yourself up that they watch TV for the afternoon. Get your stuff done and then go for a walk.
Yeah, love that. Amy, what is your special supermom power, and how did you get it?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe just trusting myself. I think a lot of like as a new mom, I remember having Navy, and like Google is not your best friend when you have a newborn, or like you just like, or even social media. There's so many different like opinions and ways of doing things and all that. And like, it honestly like would give me so much anxiety. And I would sit and talk to Mike about it thinking like, what about this? Or like, what about this? I read this and like, we need to do this or else she's going to be ruined for the rest of her life. And like, things like that. Like I was nuts about that kind of stuff. And I think that my superpower has been learning to trust myself and trust that like I'm a good mom and that I can raise these kids and they will be fine. And if I mess up, they're not going to be, kids are resilient and they're not going to be ruined for the rest of their lives. Like we'll get through it. And so, yeah, I guess just trusting myself.
That's so important, especially the like social media aspect of it and everything. And Google is definitely not your friend. It's like you Google every single little thing,
Yes.
and it tells you the exact opposite of what you are currently doing. And then you've fallen off. Brett, what is your superpower?
Okay, I have a superpower that can be either used to advantage or disadvantage. And that is like just my emotions and my attitude and my response to everybody around me. Like, honestly, if myself and my husband are calm and we're relaxed, the kids pick up on that. If I'm bringing all my junk home, or I'm frustrated or stressed with the money thing, or, you know, something like that, I can turn the whole environment of the house really quickly. And that's one of those superpowers that, like, if you think it gets kind of stressful, but it's honestly like the reality of being a parent and being a mother, is that you have that influence on that. So doing those things that I need to do in order to not be crazy emotional or responsive or reactive to my kids, especially during this time of like us all being at home, and our kids are dealing with COVID, especially like our teenagers. I'm sure Melissa sees this. It's a really hard age group. So knowing that I need to be, I guess, solid for them. And yeah, we can complain about it, but it's the reality of being a mom. You just have to. I can't lean into every freak out that I want to do, even though I do a lot of times, and I'll admit that, especially right now. But like, we have all 5 of us in this house are like, we're all basically firstborn personalities, regardless if they're actually firstborn. Like, everybody wants to have their opinion made, and we all like to voice it, and, you know, no one's gonna let that go. So that is my superpower of really being able to influence both positively and negatively the environment and the emotions in our home.
Yeah. Donna, what is your superpower?
Myself. Okay, does everyone see me and hear me now?
Can't see you, but I can hear you. Now I can see you.
Now you can see me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I think it's definitely resilience, which shows up in different ways. Like, I can definitely relate to the idea of a superpower being bad and good for you. So for example, like, children are a nightmare, and they do like try to sabotage you in everything that you are doing. And so patience is huge, because you can't really let it get to you. But on the other hand, if you're too patient, then they can start taking advantage of it, right? They want to see how far they can push you constantly. And that definitely comes up in business too. But I think, like, for resilience, you just need that, because, you know, in our household, it's been like a pretty long 6 years of traumas coming through, and we almost expect there to be a trauma at any given time. If anything happens now, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing that could happen coming. But you won't know that by looking at me. I'll just be like, you know, calm and placid as per usual, and something I need to work through. But with resilience, I mean, it just gives you, like, you have those battle scars, you have your armor on, and you know how to weather really difficult situations and get your family through it. And you know, that obviously helps in business too. The only thing I'll say about that is, like, you lose some of your sensitivity to yourself and your awareness of yourself, because you're always prepped for a battle, and you have to, like, backtrack that and get back into your body and your emotion and understand where you can find joy and fun in your life so that you can, balance it out. But I just love all the answers from the panel today, because they're, especially on this one, it's just, there's so much wisdom in it all. You definitely can't fight every battle. If your kid wants to wear weird pants to school, just let it go. You definitely have to trust yourself. Man, when I became a mom, I was almost 30, and I was just really glad that I had 10 years under my belt as an adult before I had to deal with all the stupid things that people tell women about raising children, having babies, and all that kind of jazz. Because you have a little bit of a better bullshit meter, I guess, when you've been through some things. And so I think that was, that's super great advice too. So, and the mother is like the emotional bellwether of the home a lot of times, and we have to, cheer everyone up. We have to pump everyone up. We have to calm everyone down. And so, yeah, we do all the things. Maybe that's what is our superpower. That's the super mom piece of the puzzle.
Love that. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Okay, well, in essence of time, I'm going to pass it off to Skylar to just kind of wrap it up. But this is absolutely incredible. We've recorded this, so we can go back to it if you missed any part of it. So Skylar, take it away.
Yeah, so before I do all my thanks, is there I want to just let there be time for our amazing panelists and super moms to share any plug about their business, anything exciting you want to share, or even just put your handles or website in the chat. I welcome you to do that now, because we are a community support and want to support local as much as we can and support you. So anyone have anything they want to throw out there other than their website or social handles? Anything exciting? No? Okay. All right. Well, I will just thank you all so much for coming today, for our amazing panelists, for spending your time and your wisdom and your sharing it all with us. We've learned so many great things. If you're interested in this kind of theme of super moms and you want to hear more, we have one last event in the series on January 14th over the noon hour. So please stay tuned for that. You can buy tickets right now. There's $10 with the proceeds going to Amicon Empowerment Inc. And if you have any ideas for future leader circles that you really want to hear about, or you want to speak at them, please do email us at hello@raiseherco.com or send us a direct message. We're all ears always. And yeah, for any other information on Raise Her, what we're up to, membership, events, just visit our website, raiseherco.com, or follow us online, social media. We're happy to chat always. So I will say happy holidays to all of you. Stay warm, stay safe, and we hope to see your beautiful faces again soon.